house. This is my house. This is some boxes. Tripod mic. What is up, Internet Land? This is Zachimus Prime, aka Zachimus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. This is brought to you by, as always, titanonetoys. They have been kind enough to provide me with a review sample for you guys. And today we're going to be reviewing the DX9 Montana. Oh yeah. This figure is their take on Breakdown. I mean, it's clearly not Breakdown, but it kind of looks like him, you know, if you squint a bit. And it's a pretty decent figure. I'm not going to say that it's like amazing or anything like that, but I think it's pretty decent. There's some things I don't like about it. There's some things I do like about it. For example, I really like how like svelte this figure is. It's really, you know, slim from front to back and whatnot. It cleans up really, really well, I think, for the most part. I think its engineering is pretty good most of the part. I mean, you know, like for example, the X-Transbot one guy, he's just, I mean, this is a good figure, don't get me wrong, but like he's really like chunk. So I like the design of this to a lot of it. Yeah, what am I trying to say? To a great extent, I like the design of this figure. There are some things that I don't like about it, and I'll get into that as I go into this. But for example, I like the color. It's, you know, nice and white. You think of Breakdown and you think, gosh, he's white. You don't normally think he's, you know, peach colored. So, like I've mentioned before, that's the biggest complaint I have with this figure, is that it's, you know, peach colored. But there's things I don't like about this figure, like it's freaking huge. Like this figure is super tall. Let me actually stand him up with the X-Transbot's other guy here. Like he's like half again as tall as this guy. It's like, what? Even if you compare him against other Masterpiece staples, like I think that's too tall. Even, you know, against Megatron. I guess I'd have to go back and watch those episodes again. I admit I don't watch like the G1 episodes every single day or anything like that. But I don't know. I think it's a little tall. I think when you're doing a Masterpiece style and doing a Masterpiece scale, it should keep, you know, the proper scale. And I just, DX9 has made this figure as large as it is because it's competing size-wise with the Toy World Devastator, which has kind of become a benchmark in the third-party community. And I don't know that that's necessarily fair. I mean, you look at a construction vehicle, like they're effing huge, you know. They're really big, and there's 6 of them that make Devastator. And so, I mean, do you really think that 6 effing huge, you know, construction vehicles are going to make a combiner the same size as 4 sports cars and a semi-truck? No, that's going to be a lot smaller, and it should be. I don't think that every combiner needs to be the exact same size, but whatevs. Anyhow, in terms of accessories, this guy comes with no alternate faces. He comes with this gun, which does not tab into his palm. So he's got his fingers move about, and you stick it in there, and you just like tighten it down and just like hope and pray. And if you don't touch it, it's going to be okay. But if you do touch it, it's going to eventually work its way to be a little looser and looser and looser, and eventually you're just like, hang on, I'm going to shoot some Autobots. The other thing he comes with, sitting in a box off, you know, I'll get up and get it. Hold on a second. It's over here. I was going to just skip on it because it really doesn't do anything, but in an episode of Transformers where they introduce these guys, Megatron puts this like weird device inside. Breakdown, and this is it right here. Replicated in smoky gray plastic. Cool. And that's it for his accessories in terms of posability. His head will move back and forth, up and down, like so. It will rotate freely. It's on a ball joint in addition to being on like a little hinge thing here. His shoulders will go all the way around. They rotate at, there's a hinge right here. But then as you'll notice, there's also a hinge right here. And so like he can like get like all movable up in there. Double joint at the elbow for a full bend. His wrist will rotate and it will flex this way. If you open up his hand, he's got his 3 fingers are together. His 1 finger is together and his thumb is on a joint separately. So, I mean, you're not going to get any like natural like open hand hang-ons poses out of him. But, you know, they're all there, I guess. He does come with a pretty significant ab crunch, which I think is actually kind of nice in a figure. He comes with the uniskirt, which I think is terrible. But anyhow, legs go forward that much, go back that much. He does get a good 120% Van Damme out of that sucker. That's great. 90 degrees of bend in his knee. And his ankle is on a ball joint. The ball joint is like hidden up inside his leg, so it's a little wonky to get to. And you're like hanging off this panel here, which is a little less than solid to begin with. It's funny, so I've heard people complain about this tab here. Actually, when you get this tab in correctly, it fits really well. It's this connection, this panel on the other side, that is always bugging me. The other panel, because that isn't really, it's not connected to anything at all. It'd be nice if there was like a little tab or something that would keep that in place, but no. So his ankle is technically on a ball joint. It's just kind of weird. Then here's a little bit of flex in there for transformation and whatnot. Some things about him that are kind of fun in terms of posability. You can take him and fold him in half like a ferret. Also, upon doing that, then you can also sit him, and he's got like the craziest crotch thrust. Except that he fell over. A little tricky to balance when you get the crotch thrust going on, but you know, isn't that how it always works, right? All in all, I think it's pretty decent figure. I mean, pretty decent articulation, and oh, I forgot to mention, he's got an upper bicep swivel. There you go. Quality figure right there. 10 out of 10, 100%. Love it. No, I don't know. I think he's a good figure. I'm not going to say he's a great figure, but I think he's a good figure. And I think he's got great posability, which is something that I will say that's great about him. It's funny when I stand him up. Like, I feel like he's leaning, like, to the side, but I can't seem to get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just on drugs. I could be on drugs. I don't know. Anyhow, to get this guy transformed up, we are going to start with... I haven't transformed this guy since before I moved into my new house, so this will be a little bit of an exercise. Let me see. So we're going to start by yanking on... Let's do the back half first. So we're going to start by pulling these out. You can just do this by hand, but I'm being lazy. No, I'm going to do it by hand. Use the right tool for the job, Zach. Yank this out, rotate this around. There is a tab here on the bootay. You're going to want to pop that out pop that out somehow. Sometimes I wish I had a real spudger and not like this, like stupid fingernail clipper. There we go. Slide that up, flip this back down. That slid up this whole waist section a bit. We're going to untab this. Like I said, this tab is actually really, really nice here. This tab, if you come in from the bottom, so you've got the slot right here, right? If you come in from the side and try to push it in, then it's going to give you a bad connection. And it's not going to feel very solid. If you come in, make sure that this is pegged in because there's a little peg here. If you make sure that this is pegged into that panel and then you come in from the bottom and slide it all the way up into position, it's going to fit like more solidly. Like that's a nice little solid tab. Like I said, it's this one, which is just connected with this ball joint at the top and then this hinge right here. That's all that's keeping that joint, that panel in place. That's the one that actually causes me grief. So we'll get this untabbed. This is going to fold up. This is going to fold around like so. Oh, this whole leg is going to rotate first. Sorry. Like I said, it's been like a week and a half since I've transformed this. We're going to extend this out, and now we're going to fold up the foot. This is going to become the air intake. So you're going to rotate this around and fit that into place right there, like so. I have missed a step. Which step did I miss? I missed the step where I rotated his waist. That's the one I missed. Ha ha ha. All right, same thing with the other side. So we're going to take his leg, we're going to rotate it, we're going to disengage this tab here, we're going to extend this whole thing out, we're going to fold up his foot, rotate that, and then come around and put that into place. That's how it looks from this side. This is going to turn and go down. This panel is going to rotate around. This panel is going to fold up. And that's basically his legs are done. This guy here extends, this little panel here extends out, and that extends out. Now let's focus on his arms and head area before we get everything all tabbed in. We're going to start by pulling, you kind of push on his chest right here with your thumbs and then pull on his head. That's a nice tight tab. One of the things I will say about this is that the tabs here are super effective. I'm going to take his head, rotate it 180 degrees and fold it in so that he's looking at his insides. We're going to take this part, we're going to rotate it around, and that's going to help get us started on this whole thing. So we're going to get this arm extended out. You'll see this blue T-tail on the back of his arm that's going to rotate to match up with this blue T-tail right here. We're going to take, this is one of the things, by the way, I didn't mention this. This is one of the things that I do not like about this figure is that, first of all, he's got these car parts just hanging out right here on his arm, which, I mean, the car parts, I think, more or less should be put towards the back or whatnot. But even more egregious than that is that there's this big old hollow space in here where his fists go. Yes, that's important, but it doesn't even fully cover that. Like, what? So, I don't really like this part at all, but I don't. Anyhow, we're going to open up this frustrating panel right here. We're going to rotate his hand like so, so that his thumb is facing back towards the side, what's going to be the side. And then we're going to pull on this to disengage this tab from in here. And then we're going to rotate it around. This sucker is going to, what we need to do is we need to pull this panel. There's this panel, this detail right here on the side of his arm. We need to pull that out, and I tell you what, that is, I'm trying to do it with my fingers. That is a pain in the butt. Nope. Nope, it's not working. You gotta use a spudger of some sort, something to come in here and leverage that. So it will pull all the way up, and then when you fold this up, this will come down. And then this panel on his elbow will come out, rotate around, and then slide down like that. And then this panel, I didn't get this rotated. This panel will come down and engage onto there. Now let's do it again from the top, this time without screwing it all up. Pull this out, turn this around, straighten it out. Rotate this so that that detail lines up. Open up this panel, bring his hand like from the back to rotate it around and fold that up. We're going to take this, disconnect it from that tab and rotate it that many degrees. We're going to bend this up and we're going to extend out this detail, which is still a pain in the butt. This detail, this is super effective. It just like really fits in there like nobody's business. Okay. All right. Fold this down, bring this around so that those parts line up. There's a tab and a tab and a slot and a slot. Bring those all to be friendly with each other. When you bring this up, you need to bring this, but not all the way in. Because if you put this all the way in, these tabs, which go into these slots here, will prevent you from closing this up fully. But if you don't bring it in more than like this much, then this thing sticking out prevents you. This is kind of, you have to like kind of do everything at the same time, which is kind of weird, but it works. It actually works fairly well. Now we're going to take this whole thing. You'll notice the slider here. We're going to take this whole thing and slide it down like that. Right? Right. Now we're going to take these. There's a hole here, and a peg here. We're going to peg that sucker in. And there is the same on the other side. Plug it in. Take this, fold this down. There's going to be a couple, well, let me see, these pegs don't do anything here. I'm going to just bring this down and then clip the end of this over the end of the car. And then last but not least, there's these two pegs on the bottom of these flaps and these two slots right here, and that's going to plug in. And that's him all put together. And you know what? He puts together really well. Like, he fits together well. He doesn't have any hanging crap off the bottom. In fact, he almost doesn't look like a transformer from the bottom. He's still got some fun details like headlights kind of come up. That could probably be a little bit better. The doors open for no discernible reason. And that's it. He's got rubber wheels, I guess is a yay. I don't really like rubber wheels. And he rolls. He's huge, you know. Here he is next to an actual masterpiece, scale masterpiece. He's just freaking huge. And so, like, my feeling is, I mean, he looks good in robot mode, even though he's got some issues. And he looks good in car mode. and he doesn't have issues in car mode. He's just freaking tall. Like that's my biggest complaint. Like I have some minor complaints, like the forearms, the leg panels, the uniskirt. But like my biggest complaint is that it's just the size. It's way too big. And somebody's like, well, Minnesota. Yeah, well, okay, well. I don't think all combiners need to be the same size. And I'm probably wrong. And I'm sure somebody will tell me how wrong I am. By the way, this folds up and plugs in onto his roof. Because roof. Okay, this is supposed to plug in. I've actually never actually plugged this in. Or even attempted before now. So you guys are seeing it fresh. And it's not going. But that's where it's supposed to go. Alright, let's chalk that up for another issue with this thing. I'm usually really impressed with DX9. And I'm just kind of like mildly by this. So, oh, by the way, while I'm here, and I know that this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but so if you unpeg these, this is one of those dumb tabs that you have to like take everything apart to get to it. If you unpeg these, and you unpeg these, and you pull this out, that allows you to push on this tab from this side right here. And then you gotta fold this back in, and you gotta fold this back in, and then you gotta close these back up, and you gotta push this back in. Oh, come on. Ah, I screwed something up. Maybe this goes like this. Plug those in, plug that back in, plug that back in. So, ready for this, guys? This is the car mode. This is the proper vehicle mode. And this is the proper combined mode. Did you catch that? Sorry. Combined mode. Car mode. Like literally this peg pops out and he sticks onto the back of Minosaur's leg. And it's like, And I know that's kind of proper for how Minosaur transforms, but he doesn't even transform, guys. I don't know. I think, okay, I've said this before, and I'm probably going to lose like 50 subscribers when I say this, but in a lot of ways, I think G1 is dumb. The designs were kind of like dumb 80s designs, and like the stories were kind of like, mustache twirling, sinister plan stories and whatnot. I respect and admire G1 for what it is, and I enjoy watching it. Like I go over to I've got a buddy actually, Matt from titanonetoys. I go over to his house and he's watching G1 with his boy, teaching his kid all the right ways, and I sit down and I watch it and I enjoy it. But it's still dumb. Like I watch Sharknado and I enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it's not dumb too. Anyhow, I just want to say this real quick. And Minosaur, I think, is a really dumb design. I get that he's a combiner that people like, and if you like it, you definitely should like it. It's a good it's a good design if that's what you like, People like what they like, and opinions are opinions, and your opinion is not wrong, nor is it ever wrong, despite whether or not anybody agrees with you or disagrees with you. I'm just one of those people who thinks that Minosaur is stupid, and G1 started this most amazing thing, but it itself has not aged that well. And just every time I look at Minosaur, they're like X-Transbots and DX9 are both going for these like super anime accurate Minosaurs, and I'm like, man, it looks effing retarded, guys. Whereas like I look at the Generation Toy Minosaur, and I think that looks pretty cool. I really enjoyed reviewing those figures and putting that Menasor together. But this is just going to be like literally the entire Menasor. Like you can form the entire figure using just Motormaster. Like he turns into the whole figure, and then you stick car chunks on him to like fill him out. But he's basically complete with just the one figure. It's not a good combiner to me, but I don't know, whatever. Anyhow, so this has been DX9 Montana. I don't know why they called him Montana, but you know, I said to my brother, I would have liked to have seen Montana, and then this happened. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. You're all awesome. Please don't hate me too much. I love y'all. Hey, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.